Welcome back to our preview of the opening day of the Royal Ascot meeting. We're going to look now at another of the Group 1s, the St James's Palace Stakes for the 3-year-olds over a mile, and it sees Dawn Approach returning after the shock defeat in the Epsom Derby recently.
Yeah, not sure whether we should be surprised or not about this horse resurfacing just over 2 weeks after his demise in the Derby. Obviously, you can put a line through that performance. He lost the plot, really, didn't he? Raced too freely, and then it was all over before the turn for home, wasn't it? But this is how, on best, he should be judged, winning the 2,000 guineas handsomely by 5 lengths. Still the one to beat, you think, Dave?
I do, yeah. I think the fact that Kevin Manning, the jockey, accepted the situation was grave in the Epsom Derby and just let him go to the front rather than disappoint him, and he finished last, I think was, in hindsight, probably the best thing to do. But as Jerry said, this was a monster at Newmarket. Once again, he tends to just lean into the centre of the track, but he showed a really smart turn of foot this day. And to win a race of that magnitude by 5 lengths, to my mind at least, proved him to be by far and away the best miler, certainly, in the 3-year-old division in the UK.
So we totally forgive him on the Derby demise. He was a marked horse in the race tactically, wasn't he?
Well, I would forgive him, certainly, and whether the tactics were the undoing of him, obviously they were, but whether people were aware of that, I'm not so sure if connections were.
I just think the race, it's only just over 2 weeks after, really, and I thought they might have waited for Goodwood, the Sussex Stakes, perhaps for that. But I think perhaps the fact that Sheikh Mohammed, the owner, his best horse with Godolphin, Far, is out of the Prince of Wales Stakes on Wednesday. He wants to have a top-line Group 1 winner at the meeting, and I thought he's got Dawn Approach in the wings. Why not give it a whirl? And the other thing, Jerry, of course, is it is the trainer's policy to run his horses as often as possible whenever the opportunity presents. He doesn't tend to keep them locked up. He lets them do their talking on the track. He's well known for that. Yeah, it's true. So
okay, and Magician wasn't in the Epsom Derby, but he'll line up in the St James's Palace Stakes, the Irish 2,000 guineas winner, who's had a minor injury setback leading into tomorrow. It was
a small scare. I think it was just some very minor bruising. This is impressive now, and I think this guineas was better than the English equivalent. The runner-up there was 150 to 1 Gloria Waits. He lines up again tomorrow. However, Magician is a horse fast improving. The form has been franked here since, with the 3rd horse home. I think he could be the one to win.
He's very useful, there's no doubt about that. He's kind of appeared on the scene very quickly, although he did win at Chester. He's a smart colt. He pretty much put that race to bed a long way out. Gale Force 10 is a useful yardstick, and the fact that the two of them were clear of the rest would indicate that Ballydoyle certainly know what they've got in their hands there.
Okay, so Dawn Approach or Magician?
I think at the prices I will go for Magician. I think Dawn Approach will probably be a shade of odds on here. Again, in England he's about 2.2, 2.3 coming into it. I don't think he's good. I think Dawn Approach will, over a mile, will have his stiffest test today against Magician, and we'll see what he's got in reserve the last 100 metres.
I'll go with Dawn Approach. I like him. I've liked the way he's mapped his career, and the fact that he backs up horses pretty quickly wouldn't put me off him. I think he's very, very useful. I think we'll see the real Dawn Approach on Tuesday.
Okay, so David, with Dawn Approach to win the St James's Palace Stakes and come off that Derby defeat. Magician from Jerry and I think we both agree that was a very strong win in the Irish 2,000 guineas.
Yeah, it was impressive as well. I don't like going against Dawn Approach because I've got greatest of time for the horse. It's just really on the aspect of prices. I think Magician could represent a bit better value, and I don't think there'll be that much between them in the finish.
On Epsom Derby Day, we saw a very good performance in the Woodcote Stakes for the 2-year-olds by Thunder Strike, and he lines up in the Coventry Stakes at Group 2 tomorrow.
Interesting, however, that Richard Hughes, who rode him that day as well, he's opted to get off him for a horse that won so decisively by over 3.5 lengths. He's opted to go for another one from the stable called Championship, and that will be number 2, trained by Richard Hannon, and I think that might be a tip in itself.
Historically, this is it's a very, very good race. The Coventry, I would argue at least that it's probably one of the best 2-year-old races of the season over there. previous winners include the likes of Dawn Approach, Henry the Navigator, and others who went on to great things at 3. Hannon and O'Brien dominated. They've won the last, they've both saddled 2 winners apiece in recent seasons, and those colts, with the exception perhaps of Strong Suit, have gone on to do great things. The fact that Hughes goes for championship is interesting, but I think in Stubbs, Aidan O'Brien's got a very, very smart 2-year-old indeed. Thrice raced, and he won over a sharp 1,000 metres at Navan. He's very good. That's a stiff track. Good horses win at Navan. I think Stubbs is a good horse.
Well, let's bring up the replay of the Woodcote Stakes now, won by Thunderstrike, and an eye-catching performance to say the least from the runner-up Riverboat Springs, which also runs in the Coventry.
Came from miles back, didn't you? Riverboat Springs. He'll be number 8 on our programme tomorrow night. Riverboat Springs, however, he just likes this 6 furlongs might be a bit quick for him. I think he'd be better over 7, judged on this. Thunderstrike, Hong Kong punter's got this absolutely spot on. Do you remember he was 1.6 in Hong Kong, yet 3-1 in England. He won't be odds on tomorrow night, obviously, but yeah, still commands respect.
Because of the idiosyncrasies of that Epsom track, you would have to have a slight question mark about this form, because the runner-up clearly hated Epsom. And on a more conventional track, you'd like to think that the runner-up would be an awful lot closer. The fact that Hughes now goes for a championship as well would be a negative. I'd be surprised if Thunderstrike wins this.
Okay, so a mind-blowing performance from Riverboat Springs behind Thunderstrike in that race, but neither of you have tipped him to win.
Not to win. I actually didn't find one from him in my top 4.
Really?
No. I just think he's more of a 7 furlong horse.
Okay.
So, we'll leave it at that.
I question the Epsom form. I like Stubbs. I think he's going the right way. 3 starts. He's very, very useful indeed. And it's a race that Hannon and O'Brien tend to dominate. I have Stubbs to beat championship with Sir John Hawkins back in 3rd, who's quite useful too.
Okay, so that's a look at the Group 2 Coventry Stakes for the 2-year-olds. We'll move on now to the undercard races and the Ascot Stakes. This is a 4,000 metre handicap race.
Yeah, 2.5 miles. It's a race. The last 3 editions of it have all been won by horses trained by jump trainers. A lot of these horses have previously raced over hurdles and the like, and 8 of the runners tomorrow are from jumps teams, and we might see a similar result again. However, Henry Cecil, or Lady Cecil, carrying on that legacy, will have the favourite in Tiger Cliff. That would be number 7, to be ridden by Tom Queally. And he was most impressive winning last time over 2,800 metres. We'll say the trip no problem, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of support for him. Plenty of stamina required to win this.
Yes, indeed, Tiger Cliff. That'll be probably jockey Eddie Ahern's final winner as a jockey that last day at Newmarket. Jerry makes a very valid point. The National Hunt trainers do like to target this race and do well in it. I like Homeric, however, from Ed Dunlop's stable, the Mount of Frankie Dettori. He won at Ascot on the 10th of May over this course and distance. He's very, very useful. He's only had 5 starts. He's a son of Monju, relatively unexposed, and I think he'll go well. Of the jumps trainers, I thought Lieutenant Miller might be able to hit the board as well.
Okay, so Homeric from David to win the Ascot Stakes, and the selection from Jerry Green to win this staying test is Tiger Cliff. Any more to say on this race?
Tiger Cliff, William Mullins, top Irish jumps trainer, he catches the eye with his horse number 6, Midnight Oil, driven by Richard Hughes. And yeah,
the trainer won the race last year with Simonon, who's a big player in the Ascot Gold Cup on Thursday.
Yeah, so knows what it takes.
Okay. The Windsor Castle Stakes, the last race we're going to have a look at for the opening day. How do you see this one playing out?
Good race this. It's a 5 furlong dash. Some relevance to Hong Kong. Formed 2 years ago. This race was won by Frederick Engels. So his trainer John Moore is over in Ascot at the moment as well, with a bit of a checkbook out, I think. So some of these horses, if they run well, we might see them here, give it 6 months, a year. It's tough. Interesting runner number 16, Ogermeister. I think Dave has him in selections, trained by the American Wesley Ward, who won this race 3-4 years ago with Strike the Tiger. But it's over 20 runners in it. It's pretty open.
It is. It's generally the weakest of the 2-year-old races during the week, but fiercely competitive, as the big field will tell you. Ogermeister won a decent maiden special weight at Belmont Park and comes here with good, solid connections. I like an outsider in the race, Ben Hall, from John Gosden's stable. It's not a race that he would normally target. This horse was 4th at Goodwood on his debut. That was over 1,200 metres, and then he stepped back to 1,000, and he travelled really strongly when he won at Haydock. William Buick takes the ride, and I think he's progressive. It's often a race that turns up a bit of a surprise result.
So David, you sound very keen on Ben Hall. What about you, Jerry?
Put Anticipated, number 2, on top from the Hannon Hughes team, unbeaten from 2 starts. Another one would be number 19, Sleeper King, from the team of Kevin Ryan, who's often have some very smart juveniles, and that horse seems to fit that bracket. But looking at it, I'd be going pretty wide in Quinella places.
Okay, so recapping those selections for the Windsor Castle Stakes, one of the tougher races on the program to assess. Anticipated from Jerry Green, Ben Hall from Dave Duggan, the place getters there. Sleeper King, Bo Nash, Ben Hall for Jerry, and Dave, you've gone with Ogre-Meister, Sleeper King and Fountain of Youth.
Just a quick point on the Windsor Castle Stakes. Whilst Hannon and O'Brien are very, very strong in all the good 2-year-old races, their record in the Windsor Castle Stakes is absolutely abysmal for both trainers.
What a day to kick things off at Royal Ascot. So much to look forward to. You'll see it all live here in Hong Kong. The Dubai World Cup winner, Animal Kingdom, making his swan song in the Queen Anne Stakes, and of course the King's Stand Stakes, always a thrilling sprint contest, and perhaps history making with Shay Shay to become the first South African trained horse to win the race.
Yeah, tie in Dawn Approach as well, and there's plenty to look forward to with the 3 Group 1s early on.
Yeah, it's all quality, and it should be essential viewing. And
no doubt we'll be up very late right throughout the week, keeping our eyes glued to Royal Ascot. It's a carnival not to be missed.
Yeah, that's right, and we've got the Diamond Jubilee on Saturday coming up as well. So.
Okay, thank you. And we look forward to your company for the live simulcast of King's Stand Stakes Day tomorrow night from 9:30. See you then.